What's up? Hello. I got to, obviously, not many people here yet. I got to tweet this out. Then we'll get talking about what is happening. All right. As people are coming in here, I'll take chats. What's up, Miguel? Samuel? Good morning. Celeste, why not Twitch? Oh my God. So the reason I'm not doing Twitch this morning is because this makes more sense. I'm not in my usual spot, so I can't do my usual, bring up videos and stuff. So this is more of a chat. I'm going to bring up some of the news over the weekend that, of course, happened. And you like the hair? Good. I think it's pretty much straight from the pillow, but glad you dig it. Is there a share button? Here it is. God, I'm an old man. Okay. Share this on Twitter, and then we're going to get going on this. All right. Tweeted. Okay. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Audio's good. Hair's good. All right. Let me say hello to some people here. I already said hello to Miguel, Samuel, Celeste, Shelby, Aurora, RN, Winston. What up, Winston? Marilyn. Not sure I can say your first name, but Hunt42. What up? Nathan, Phil, Mech. Hey, everybody. Deborah, Marilyn, Vegan Lynn Cat. What's up? All right. $750. Yeah. $750. Should we start with that? My God. All right. I'll grab some chats as well as they come in. Super chats, of course, I'll get to all yours, but I'll also grab some normie chats. Damn, dude, you just wake up? That's right. I woke up a couple hours ago. Just haven't really prepared myself for anything, for any public appearances. All right. So Donald Trump, $750. That's how much he paid in taxes in, I think, 2017. I'm gonna pull up my notes here. And for 10 years, he paid nothing. Now, the thing with this is not unique to Trump. It's unique to billionaires. They really don't pay much of anything in tax. But Trump at the same time is also a incredibly horrible businessman. Went bankrupt, 6 times? Lost a lot of money in that time. Let me bring up some stats here because I saw. Did I save it? I don't think I saved it. I think I tweeted it out yesterday. But comparing how much Trump paid in taxes to a number of other politicians here. Here we go. So in 2017, in federal income taxes, Joe Biden paid $3,700,000. Kamala Harris paid about $500,000. Bernie Sanders about $350,000. Elizabeth Warren about $260,000 or $270,000. Donald Trump, $750. It is. I bet every single one of you watching right now have paid more in taxes than Donald Trump did in 2017. And what actually kind of surprised me is when he was asked about this yesterday during his press conference, he just called it fake news. He could actually just say, yeah, I didn't pay anything. I'm a smart businessman. I didn't pay any taxes. Isn't that what he did before? Couldn't he just keep saying that? But the fact that he's running away from it and calling it fake news, I think it shows a weakness. And I mean, we talk about his base like there's any hope in hell of him actually of his base changing their minds and not voting for him or not supporting him. But if there are any of those people left that you can peel off, seeing Trump pay almost nothing in tax while they slave away and the average person pays a lot more. And by the way, another stat worth mentioning here. Let me pull this up. I know you guys can't see these tweets. I can't do much about it. I got it. This is a webcam right now, but I'll read this off for you. Wait, I'll have it now. Here we go. In 2017, so Trump paid $750 in tax in 2017. That same year, undocumented immigrants paid over $27 billion. So while Trump is claiming that, and not just Trump, the Trump base want to claim that, you know, immigrants don't pay any tax. Of course they pay tax. They pay a hell of a lot more than Trump does. And Trump also in 2012 tweeted out, Barack Obama, who wants to raise all our taxes, only pays 20.5% on $790,000 salary. Do as I say, not as I do. Trump is all projection. You notice this when it comes to all of his attacks on people. His attempt is always to try and any way that he could be painted, he'll paint the other person that way, like crooked Hillary. Sure, you could say Hillary is crooked in many ways. Trump is the ultimate crooked politician, crooked billionaire, crooked businessman. And he did the same thing with tax. He every single one of his attacks, almost every single one, it's projection on his own weaknesses. So it tries to lay that on other people. Now, again, what I always go to is, does this matter? Is this piece of news, the fact that he paid almost nothing in tax, is it going to matter? I don't know. If the coronavirus, if his complete failure on the coronavirus is not going to wake people up, if that hasn't already woken you up as a Trump supporter, then I'm not sure this is going to really matter. But it's just another piece of information to work with and remind everybody of how crooked this man is. Now, so I'm seeing chats come in. Let me grab what I see. I'll search for others in case I missed any. Salt Fake News says, knowing how fragile Trump supporters tend to be, we need to launch a campaign that allows them to abandon Trump while saving face. Brainstorming today. I hear you. I don't know if that's even really the Trump base, because we're talking about cult-like mentality at this point. They're just not going to believe. Like, if they're not going to believe coronavirus is real, or they're not going to believe the actual coronavirus numbers because they're defending Trump, are they going to believe this? Do they care? So it's more of it's an attachment to his personality and him as the supreme leader. You notice this in really worldwide. There's about like 20%, 25% of people in any given country that have an authoritarian-minded, mindset. So if there is a figurehead like a Trump or like a dictator-like figure, there is already a built-in, like, it's something in the human brain, and like 20% of people built in going to support that supreme leader. There are people that desire that look for that. So I'm not really sure you're going to turn those people around. But I hear you when it comes to ideology in general. This is why I say when you have conversations with people who don't agree with you politically, the best way to approach that is not as somebody attacking them for being stupid. You don't want to make somebody feel dumb for being wrong. You want to give them an out. You want to give them a rope. You want to introduce them to some ideas. Maybe give your opinion. First, ask their opinion. Like, what are your thoughts on wages right now? Or what are you dealing with? Are healthcare costs too high for you? Is your wages not high enough? Cost of housing? Like, introduce these topics not really as political topics, but just as like daily life. Like, oh, what are you struggling with right now? And then just hear what they have to say, and and then bring up, oh yeah, that's why, I support, or I like Bernie Sanders because he was fighting for higher wages, or he was fighting to give everyone health care. And you start planting seeds like that, but don't jump into a conversation with somebody who doesn't agree with you politically with the intention of trying to change that person in that conversation, because you're not going to do that. Very rarely is someone going to change within a conversation unless they have very weak views already. But if they're tied to their views, they're not going to change in a single conversation. But what you can do is plant seeds. And when you plant seeds, that allows the person, anyone that's movable, they'll think about what you said later on, and it'll run in their mind. And that's a way to eventually change somebody from their ideology to maybe being a little more open-minded and understanding that it's possible they got it wrong and are now open to a new set of ideas. Let me go to my super chats page because I'm missing some here. By the way, I'm running off my data right now, so I hope everything is smooth. No guarantees here. I'm not in my usual spot, so things may be a little slow. John Robert, thank you for your donation. Sunil Matwani says, what is your response to red states deciding to unilaterally send the electors they choose regardless of votes because of false perceived voter fraud? So this is, unless there's any updates to this story, right now this is really just speculation. It appears that legally they can do that. It's just been the norm to not do that. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that plays out. If Trump tries to steal the election by essentially changing the vote, by having Republican electors as representatives in those red states, if those red states allow that. But look, yes, that's possible. I tend to think that's not going to happen, but it's definitely possible. And my thoughts are that would be stealing the election, and it would be a crisis. I'm not sure how that would play out, but it would not be good. It would very likely get violent, because at that point Trump is stealing the election. So let's hope it doesn't come to that. I feel like it's not going to come to that. But at this point, the GOP, they have no there's no line. And if there is a line, we haven't seen it yet. So who knows? But this is why you have to overwhelm the vote. Like the popular vote, even if you're in a state like California or New York, honestly, I would say still vote for Joe Biden in this election. And it's because Trump is going to try everything he can. And the bigger the popular vote margin is for Biden, the harder it will be for Trump to steal the election. So this is a rare case where I say, even if you're in California and New York, you want to run up that popular vote. You don't want to give Trump any ability or any sliver of hope to steal the election. Westside Beaches says his core supporters want him to act this way. It's the feature, not the bug. Player 2 says, are you at your grandma's? No, I'm not. I'm not at my grandma's. I'm visiting my parents, actually, but they're not here right now. But yeah. That's why there's what's behind me? There's some family sign. Family rules. It's backwards for me, so it's hard for me to read this. Help each other. Help each other. Be thankful. Some other stuff. Be happy. Dream big. Cool. There you go. Some positivity for your morning. Okay. Let me go through some other story here. Obviously, I haven't commented yet on the Supreme Court pick. I'll get to more of your chats in a second. Supreme Court pick, Amy Coney Barrett. So they're going to try to ram this one through, obviously. I don't need to mention the hypocrisy part of this. Of course, Republicans are hypocritical. They always are. But it's like, what, 5 weeks till the election? They're going to try to push through a Supreme Court pick in that time. In normal times, it takes a couple months at least, right? They're going to try to push this through because Trump wants that Supreme Court pick in the chance that he will try and steal the election and needs the Supreme Court to rule in his favor. He wants that insurance that he's going to have the Supreme Court steal the election for him the way that they stole it for George Bush in 2000. So it's a serious problem. And even apart from the election, of course, Amy Coney Barrett has talked, has made public statements about the ACA and not being in support of it. So very likely, there goes your healthcare, what healthcare you have. Of course, the ACA doesn't go far enough. It's still a private insurance-based system, but it's better than what existed before the ACA. So you can kiss healthcare goodbye if she's in. And of course, abortion rights, completely gone. So this is, it is so, like, there are two serious fights going on right now, Supreme Court and the election. And both of them, if Democrats lose either one of those fights, or both, there's going to be, it's politics for the next 30 years. I mean, it's going to be tough to make some or any real progress with the Supreme Court being, 6-3. So, yeah, it can get kind of depressing if you focus a little too much on what's happening right now. But this is why it's so important to be involved. Be involved, do what you can to change things. I'll talk more about Amy Coney Barrett this week, I'm sure. Maybe do a proper video on it. But yeah, let's hope they don't get it through. But we know Democrats right now, what they could be doing is trying to impeach Bill Barr. That would take precedent over the nominating process of a Supreme Court pick. They're not. Last I checked, I haven't really been on Twitter this morning, so maybe they're doing it now, but I would be shocked. So Democrats have a course of action. They can try to do something, and they're just not doing it. The weakest opposition party I have ever seen. It is a joke how weak the Democratic leadership is. But again, it's important to remind yourself, it's the Democratic leadership. It's not the Democratic Party as a whole. There are members of the party that want to fight. The AOC, there was that memo that circulated late last week that I think originated with AOC's team of all these different ways they could be trying to block the Supreme Court pick. So you have people, you have the Justice Dems in Congress that want to stop this, that want to fight. But when you have leadership like Pelosi and Schumer that are so incredibly weak, and it's all performative for them, and they're able to fundraise off of the hatred of Trump, then what's their incentive? Their lives are going to be fine. The people in Congress, Democratic politicians in Congress, their lives are going to be fine regardless. They're taken care of. It's the people that suffer. And the only ones that really seem to know that are the newer Congress people like AOC, like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, the rest, and of course Bernie Sanders in the Senate. But there are very few fighters in the Democratic Party. And the one major benefit of having Biden win this election would be you could finally have that debate between those two sides. Okay, let me grab some more chats here. Blake Townsend says, you can deduct a hairstylist from your taxes, right? Hey, I'm my own hairstylist. What's wrong with this? It's great. Look at this. It's fantastic. What's the problem? What's the problem? Iriquarius says, David, barbers wear masks, I promise you. Gio Francois says, probably not. Scancon42 says, thanks for the stream. Thank you. Samantha Sider says, I pay more in taxes than Trump and I only make 50K. Look, I think everybody pays more taxes than Trump does. It is, you guys don't want to know how much I pay in tax in Canada, but I have healthcare, so I don't complain too much. But it's good God. it The amount of tax, the tiny amount of tax Trump paid is ridiculous and really pisses me off the more I think about it. John Robert, thank you for your super chat. Like, I don't know how you aren't engaged in this class war at this point. After seeing that, if seeing the fact that Trump pays nothing to 750 in 1 year, or I think that was over a couple of years in taxes, if that doesn't engage you in this class war fight, I don't know what's going to. And honestly, we saw a lot of this with the Panama Papers, where we know already the wealthiest people in the world put their money in offshore tax havens and pay nothing in tax. So this isn't new information. It's just a reminder of how much the people at the top screwed the rest of you. And by the way, it's not like Trump, earned his way to the top and just taking advantage of the system. No, he was born into wealth. He was born into wealth and privilege. He just got lucky. To have a society where it is almost purely based on luck, how can anybody possibly defend that? If the one stat that best predicts your success in life is the zip code you're born into, that is a rigged system. That is not a system that is worth upholding. That is a rigged system. It is just a roll of the dice. Oh, I was born in Manhattan to a wealthy family. Great. Like, how do even the people that are super privileged, some of them I think know it, though we don't really hear from them very often. But someone like Warren Buffett, I think he's aware of it. But there are the vast majority of people that are super wealthy, they will never recognize, admit that it is insane that they were just born into wealth and that they get to take advantage of that, and that is the main reason they're successful. And it's because a lot of people think, everybody goes through struggle, but the struggle is in the eye of the beholder. Like the struggle you go through is just your perspective of what struggle is. So, a struggle for a Donald Trump-like figure is, oh, I lost, I was trying to buy this $2 million condo and I lost out to someone else who overbid me. Like that's the struggle of that class of people. To them, that struggle is everything, because that's the most struggle they've gone through, is missing out on a home they wanted. But they don't have that connection to reality of the struggles that most people go through. Living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to afford to eat, or having to ration your food, not being able to afford housing at all, or renting and being screwed by your landlord. Like, there are those struggles that the wealthiest just have no idea. But because of their perspective, they feel, oh, I struggled. I had to go to school. I've earned my way. I did well in school. There are millions who couldn't even afford to go to college. So it's all just perspective, and it's impossible to change the system unless the rest of us, the bottom 90%, get together and understand that this is a class battle. This is a class war. And I don't mean war in the violent sense, but it is a class war. We have to understand that the only people that are going to look after each other are us, the ones that don't have any power, the ones that don't have any money, any real money. Until people realize that, and they're not taken in by cults like MAGA, it's tough to change anything until the vast majority of the non-wealthy combine their powers together. Okay, some more chats here. Throwing back the apple says, conversations about politics with people on the opposite side are pointless in my opinion. Meaningful changes in public opinion are only made through alternative media like you, David, so thank you. I don't necessarily agree with that. There are people out there who, well, first of all, to get new people to listen to, channels like mine, you have to talk to those people who aren't engaged in that stuff. Um, but it depends who you're talking to, right? If you're talking about a Trump supporter, yeah, someone who still supports Trump, somebody who's dressed in MAGA pants and a MAGA shirt and a MAGA hat, yeah, you're not gonna change that person's mind. But if you if you engage these people that are a little less political, that are not super Trump, but are people who are just apolitical, they watch Dancing with the Stars. you know, it's the people that are in the middle somewhere, who watch Dancing with the Stars. They watch The View. That, by the way, that's why it's important to also engage people in that cultural conversation as well. This is why I did a lot of videos on The View. It's not because I love The View. It's because there's an audience there that you want to be able to engage. If I can bring that View audience in, with a video on Meghan McCain, and then they start watching other videos where I'm talking about Bernie Sanders or talking about Medicare for all, then that's how you win over a larger audience. There's always a method to the madness. I'm not just going to do a video on something that seems pointless, if there isn't a point to it. So being in those conversations and being in the spaces where those people are and engaging those people, also your workplace, unionizing your workplace and talking about the power, the collective power that you could have as workers if you band together and fight for higher wages or stronger benefits. Like, that's how you really engage a larger audience in the political sense, and are able to build a mass movement. But you're not going to do it. I agree with you. You're not going to do it if you're trying to engage, a Trump voter, or a Trump lover, I should say. There are Trump voters that voted for him in 2016 that are, yeah, they moved over already, or they're gettable. But at this point, if you haven't left Trump, I'm not sure what else. I'm not sure what else you could say to those people. But yeah, it's all about the audience, right? So obviously the strategy changes depending on who you're talking to. John Robert says, I messaged you on, oh wait, I think I missed one. Yes. Themis and Thought says, are streaming from your microwave? Love you, man. So I'm on my phone data that is connected to my laptop. So if there's some weirdness with the stream, that's the reason. Though looking on my computer, it looks perfect, but maybe that's because I'm just looking at my own camera feed. I don't know. But hopefully it's not too bad. John Roberts says, I messaged you on Insta about an interview with Douglas Murray. I think you would be perfect person to break it down and respond. Took me 3 super chats to figure out how to write this. I'll check my Instagram chat. I don't always check that, but I'll check it out. Richard says, I always get criticized when I say that Pelosi sunglasses photo op and tearing a piece of, oh, wait, let me read this again. I always get criticized when I say that Pelosi sunglasses photo op and tearing a piece of paper foes not make her an effective leader. Does not make her an effective leader. I don't necessarily know what you're saying. But yes, photo ops, of course, don't make her an effective leader. I think when it comes to my main audience, I think this audience knows that. I mean, I've never argued that Pelosi's a good leader, and I'm not even sure who does. I guess the occasional MSNBC host and CNN. But even at this point, isn't there some awareness that she's not doing anything, that she's been terrible the entire time? Isn't there any awareness of that? I feel like that, at least among the Democratic Party base, like the dedicated voting base, I think even large swaths of Democratic voters have now realized that Pelosi is not the leader they thought she was, because things have only gotten worse and she's really stopped nothing. So, I mean, she won't even put up Medicare for all for a vote. Like, the Democratic Party is not going to really grow past the state that they're in until the leadership is completely replaced with somebody that's comparable. All right. Comparable? Is that a word? With someone who is talented. Dimalos says the problem is that most people don't understand taxes. They hear 70% marginal tax and think their 30 to 100K a year is going to be taxed at 70%. Yeah, that's really the issue with a lot of policy, is people don't get the details, and it's hard to put details in a slogan. But I would hope they understand. I mean, hoping is, forget it. Yeah, they're not gonna. But like, marginal tax rate, doesn't that mean something? It's not just taxing everything at 70%. But I agree with you in terms of communicating these issues, communicating these policies. We have to understand that a lot of people don't understand these terms. And to give a quick explanation, when discussing like a wealth tax, or taxing wealth, say taxing wealth over 10 million at 70%. I think that was an AOC thing she put out there, a policy. But yeah, so when describing that kind of tax rate, we can't just say 70% tax on the wealthy. Even that, we have to say 70% on any money made over 10 million. Which, by the way, I think you could even up that a little bit, but we can start there. Oh, one more thing I want to mention, story-wise. The Rock backed Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I don't know if this will have an impact, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt because he has a large contingent of what I want to call the bros. The guys that are in the gym working out, checking out their pecs. Getting The Rock out there to actually endorse somebody. I think it's the first time he's endorsed a candidate for president. Is important. That audience for The Rock, there's a lot of crossover there with the Joe Rogan audience for sure, and it's important that he's out there saying that. Now, a lot of those people may just be like, "Oh, he's a celebrity. He doesn't know what he's talking about." No, Trump all the way. Yes, but there are also, I think, a contingent of people that absolutely are going to maybe rethink their positions. Again, they have to, of course, be largely apolitical. Maybe they're guys that just go and work out, and they have their own lives. They're not really engaged in the political discussion either way. Then I think The Rock works on that kind of mindset. God, this chat is now it's working. Okay. So I think The Rock's endorsement has the potential to do some good. Okay, let me grab some more chats. Hugo Florence sends me a bunch of little birdies. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello Boy Productions, thank you for your donation. Cody says, conservatives tout that you can always work harder to get wealth, but also fully believe in inheriting generational wealth. Yeah. There's no logic to that argument, to their argument, of course. Yes, you can always work harder. That, for one, does not guarantee you're going to make more. Though, of course, it doesn't help. Like, there's this idea that, from conservatives, that liberals don't believe in hard work at all, or don't believe in, doing anything. They want to sit at home and make money. No, I think it's important to contribute to society in some meaningful way, and you should be compensated for your contribution to society, of course. And the harder you work to contribute to society, then I think it makes sense that you make more money. But generational wealth is where a lot of the money actually is. Simply being born into the right family is like at least half the game. So that is, in, of course, as you're mentioning there, in direct contrast to the idea that you work harder, you make more. You can work as hard as you possibly can. You're not going to be Jeff Bezos. And Jeff Bezos, by the way, the people that work in his Amazon warehouses work a hell of a lot harder than he does right now. And he got a massive loan from his parents. That's why he was able to start Amazon. Again, showing you a lot of wealth that is built on privilege, is built on being born into the right family. Hello Boy Production says, I'm a South African who cares more about the USA election than some Americans. Trump is running the country and the establishment Dems are toxic. Oh, sorry, Trump is ruining the country and the establishment Dems are toxic. Yep, I hear you. The U.S. impact on the world, of course, cannot be ignored, which is why I'm engaged, of course, in U.S. politics, and as many are around the world. If Trump wins this election, it's not just going to impact Americans. It's going to impact everybody else. Sally Shaw says, my sister who voted for Trump in 2016 is open to changing her vote. She is looking for nonpartisan sources of info to research. Does that exist? Nonpartisan sources of information. Well, it depends what you're, like, facts are nonpartisan. It is a fact that Trump paid nothing in tax. It is a fact that Trump failed in his response to the coronavirus. It is a fact that he stopped 5 masks from going out to every single American household. That led to the deaths of tens of thousands. Like, those are all facts. Is that partisan to say those things? No, those are facts. If all you're looking for is like just straight up like reporting that I guess has no opinion either way, the Associated Press is kind of like the go-to for that. But in terms of research, I don't know. You kind of have to take your information from everywhere. Like, the Associated Press, of course, reports news, but if you want to go back in time and really look into like an analysis of like Trump and Biden, then you kind of have to just go all over the place. There's no one source for any of these things. It's important. The only real way to be nonpartisan is to get your information from all different views, all different sources. And you're never going to have a one source that fits that. And you shouldn't, by the way, because it's possible you may think, hey, they're bipartisan or they're nonpartisan, but there could be something that's actually pushing that reporting one way or the other. So always get your information from different sources. Dylan604, thank you for your super chat. Bad Jokes Brian says, hey, David, my wife and I love your coverage and watch you for all of our rational news from Kentucky. We are standing strong in this sea of red. Good on you, man. Good luck to both of you, really. It is, I've never lived in that kind of situation. And honestly, I don't think I could. I'm not sure I could live in a red state. In fact, I know I couldn't. So, I mean, I could, but it'd be one hell of a time. I've been pretty lucky in that sense. My family is, largely apolitical family, but they've never been, crazy conservative or crazy liberal or progressive or whatever. I grew up not even talking about politics. In fact, I remember, like, I'm essentially self-taught in a lot of this. In our household, politics was not even it was discussed as a personal decision. So my mom, my dad, they were never open about who they were voting for when I was growing up. We never even talked about politics. I didn't really get into any of this until my 20s. And now, because they're fairly apolitical or open-minded, a lot of them do lean progressives because they've been watching my content. But before that, it went either way for them, I'm sure. Though honestly, I don't know because we never talked about it. But still, I feel pretty lucky to not have had grown up around a lot of conservatives, because I'm somebody who I'm sure my mind would have been molded by that. And being somebody who's apolitical, And growing up in an area or growing up around people, if they were conservative, absolutely, that would have had an impact on me. I could be conservative right now and just not realize it, not be all that engaged in the conversation, not know too much, which is why, when I discuss these issues or discuss having to discuss them with other people, when I'm trying to give you guys advice, go into it with that mindset. Like, understand there are a lot of people out there. You may see all the, all the mega heads and think that's everyone who doesn't agree with you. But no, there are a lot of people out there who were just like me, who just didn't know. And if you present the information in a way that is accessible and non-confrontational, then it allows that person, that apolitical person, to better absorb that information and trust you. Because if you go at them screaming and yelling or something, like say you talk to somebody and they're like, oh, I hate having to pay so many taxes. They're cutting into my check. There's a way to approach that conversation where you're agreeing with them, because I do think people that don't make a lot of money pay way too much in tax, and the people at the top pay nothing at all, as we're seeing. So you can discuss that in a way that is still, it's agreeing with them. It may sound conservative to say, yeah, taxes suck, but they do suck for people who don't make a lot of money. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for somebody who is struggling to pay a big chunk of their wealth in tax, and people at the top pay nothing. So, you plant seeds in a conversation about taxes, and all of a sudden you have a new comrade that's fighting with you in the class war that agrees with you. So it's about building that information up without doing so in a confrontational way. Okay. Probably going to wind down a little bit here. I'll grab some random chats, and of course, any super chats that still come in. I think I see some more here. Ronald 6 Wilson 6 Reagan 6 says The Rock endorsed Bush in 2000 and or 2004. Did he? All right. I read somewhere that he had never made a public endorsement, but I could be wrong. I do remember watching wrestling in the 2000 era, and what's his name? The color commentator. I forget his name now. I think he's dead. But he backed George Bush on air. Like, I was watching this, and I remember thinking that he made a good argument. And just to give you, I was like 15, 16 back then. So I didn't know shit about American politics. But I did know that Joe Lieberman, Gore's VP, was very anti-video game. He was the guy leading that crusade in the early 90s. So I did not like Gore because of Lieberman. But I didn't like Bush. I mean, I wasn't engaged in American politics as a young teen in Canada. I didn't care. But that's the kind of thing, if you're an apolitical person, one thing like that could move you, where you heard a bad position from one of the candidates once, and that could kind of dictate your entire worldview if you're somebody who's apolitical. But again, a lot of those apolitical people are comfortable financially. Like, as a family, we were not struggling. So I was never in the mindset of like, oh, but who's going to help the working class the most? I was never in that mindset as a teenager. I was middle class. I was fine. So the only kind of issues I would attach to are more cultural issues, like the video game debate, as I was a big gamer back then, and I still am. But that's why endorsements like The Rock matters. You can move those people. Gina McGrath says, GOP say, quote, "We don't care what celebrities think." Also GOP, quote, "Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump are the two greatest leaders this country ever had." Yeah. Oh, you could write a book on all the hypocritical positions that Republicans have. It just goes with the territory. That's how it is. Like, it's funny how much they rail against Hollywood, yet their biggest political stars are also television stars. Okay. Cody says, it's loading. Cody says, I grew up in an extremely conservative area that voted in Michelle Bachmann, and I'm a Dem socialist. It is possible, but going to college and moving to Minneapolis helped in that growth. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's all about exposure, especially if you're young. It's a lot easier to have your mind change, have your political opinions change if you're, between 12 years old and 30. It's a lot easier than if you're in your 50s. So yeah, exposure to different ideas in college is a big piece of that. Dylan604 says, I'm curious if you still watch Rising and Door. Had to stop. The coverage has become so unbalanced and almost exclusively criticizing the Dems. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of other political content. I stopped watching Rising during or after the primary, and not really because of anything that was said on the show. I kind of tuned out a little bit and refocused on the news in general and just following what's happening. The only shows I really watch on a consistent basis is Majority Report, because of they have great guests on, and I enjoy the banter. I'll watch the occasional TYT clip or Kyle Kulinski or Humanist Report, Christo Avalis. But honestly, I don't watch a lot of political content, at least not as much as I used to. And part of it as well is I don't have much time. So that's trying to run this channel and trying to grow it, and doing more streams like these morning streams. I do the stream, by the way, usually on Twitch. Today I'm on YouTube, but I usually do a daily morning stream on Twitch, Monday to Thursdays. But yeah, putting more content out there, I just have less time. And there's so much news happening all the freaking time that I need to stay on top of it. But in terms of the other part of your question, look, I don't know their content. I'm not going to judge their content because I don't watch it. I don't know. But coming from somebody who has spent quite a bit of time criticizing Democrats, this last month before the election, now is the time to focus on Trump and understanding the threat that he is, and ensuring that people realize they need to get out and ensure Trump loses. So that's where my focus is right now till the election. But I'm telling you, I'm really looking forward. If Biden wins, and I hope he does, I'm looking forward to demolishing him, demolishing a Biden White House, a Biden administration, once he's inaugurated. For me, that's what interests me the most, is fighting neoliberalism. Fighting fascism, I honestly hate it. I don't enjoy it. I can't stand it. It pisses me off. It's just not, it's harder to fight people who don't give a shit at all about reality, about facts. Not that neoliberals do, but it's so much easier to dismantle a neoliberal argument. A fascist argument is just about power and dominating you. Like, what explaining do I have to do there? Like, they want to dominate you. They do not care about your life. Like, that discussion to me is not interesting. Whereas I enjoy the idea of educating moderates and moving neoliberal-minded voters over to a working class side and understanding the fight that they are in. That's what interests me as a commentator, as somebody who covers this news. So apart from the destruction that Trump has caused, being the obvious reason I want him out, I'm just a lot more interested in the conversation about the left versus neoliberalism. So I hope I can have more of that in the future. Okay. All right, I'm gonna get out of here at like 11 a.m. So if you want to get chats in, get them in now. And if I have time, I will try to look at the normal chat and grab some regular chats as well. Zodi says, video games were my first introduction to Hillary Clinton and started my dislike for her at an early age. Interesting. I'm not even sure how I'm guessing she was part of that debate, but I don't remember that aspect of it. I do know that Lieberman, though, was a big piece of that. And actually, there's a new documentary now, a newer documentary on Netflix. That, of course, because I'm bad at names, I forget. But I'm sure someone in the chat will bring it up. But it's a video game like documentary. It's I think like 6 episodes, and one of them discussed that time with like Mortal Kombat and Doom, and Joe Lieberman and the other politicians who were very anti-video game, which eventually, thankfully, just led to the creation of the ESRB, and ultimately never, killed video games off or killed violent video games off the way that they potentially could have. But yeah. Alnati says, hey, Dave, do you think Trump is at fault for not paying taxes in 10 of 15 last years, or is he just one of many billionaires taking advantage of fiscal systems perpetuated by Obama and George W. Bush 15 years? It's not just, yes, Obama and Bush, of course, perpetuated and continued that, but it's politics for the last 40 years. Really starting, or at least being pushed into high gear with Reagan and Thatcher in the 80s. But yes, the answer is both. Trump's at fault because he's not been speaking out against it. If he was out there speaking out against how it's crazy, I can pay no taxes and people need a better system, and here's my plan to improve the tax code, then yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. But he's not doing that. He is hiding the fact that he barely paid or didn't pay any taxes. And he's simply taking advantage of the broken system that he has continued to prop up. So, and it's also weird to say, or is he just taking advantage of the systems perpetuated by Obama and George W. Bush, when it's a system also perpetuated by Donald Trump? Did you forget that part? Like, he's president. So you can't. Trump is not innocent here. He's the guy that instituted the massive tax cuts for corporations and the wealthy. Like, that was his big legislative victory. For Trump's big victory, the one thing he's done is help the wealthiest and massive corporations. So he's a part of that conversation. He's a part of that blame. Mark James says, thoughts on the GOP trying to smear Democrats by saying they're racist for 1 second. Thoughts on the GOP trying to smear Democrats by saying they're racist, for one Twitter loon saying Amy Coney Barrett adopted 2 Haitian children as a cover. It's all projection and deflection. I didn't even see that tweet. I don't care. Well, yeah. People say dumb things. That's a dumb thing to say. There are obvious real reasons to go after Amy Coney Barrett. But this is the thing with the GOP. They'll do whatever they can to try and form an argument. So if one person says something that's kind of off color, then they're going to focus so much on that, which, by the way, these are the same people that cry about cancel culture and cry about piling on people that say one wrong thing and then they go fucking do it themselves. These are garbage people. So don't fall into their trap. Like, I don't care what this person's Twitter loon says. You shouldn't care. Who cares? I say we completely ignore what they're trying to do there, and focus on the reality of what Amy Coney Barrett on Supreme Court would look like, what it would do, the kind of victory she could pull through for Donald Trump if the election goes to the Supreme Court, the victory she would pull through for anti-choice voters, and destroying the ACA and just destroying healthcare, and with that as well, Medicare for all. Like, it's very possible that Medicare for all could go to the Supreme Court as well, and you'd have people like Amy Coney Barrett shoot it down, and you won't have universal coverage. So anyone out there that's saying, oh, well, the ACA sucks anyway, so who cares? Well, guess what? When it's Medicare for all that's up there, and it's time for them to decide on that, you're going to be eating your words. So this is somebody who actively has worked against the best interests of people. Is also, of course, very pro-corporate, as almost every single person on the court is. But it's the damage that she would do. You cannot. It's indescribable. Okay. Couple minutes left. I'm running off my data now. How about that? It's all good. I got some donations to cover it. Your super chats will help to cover the excessive wireless fees. Ragnar Loki says, how do you think the US and Canada will transition to renewable energy sources? And what do you think about thorium nuclear reactors? I have no idea. That's a conversation I'm not in. So I don't know. But how will Canada and the US transition to renewable energy? In terms of a prediction, I can't make a proper prediction there. I mean, the way to do it would be to completely rid ourselves of our oil production, but while doing that, ensure that those people, those workers, are taken care of, that they are given full pay for 5 years, they are given job retraining, that there is a focus on on the future in their lives. Because one of the biggest, the biggest argument that conservatives have against the transition, against moving to renewable energy, is they try to pretend to be on the side of workers. And what about the people that work on the oil rigs, or what about the people that work in the oil fields? Well, if we have an actual plan to take care of them, if the response to that is, well, guess what? We have a plan for them. We're going to full pay. This was actually in Bernie's Green New Deal plan. Full pay, 5 years. And in the process of that, also retraining into renewable energy. So there's still, of course, the job would be different. And that's going to turn off a lot of people. Look, changing careers is always tough. But if it's still a job where they're working with their hands, whether it's still, which of course it still would be, you still need people if you work in energy, yes, the job from working in an on the oil patch to working in renewable energy is going to be a different job, but it is still something that you could train someone to do that does those oil jobs. You can train them to do a similar hands-on position in a renewable energy industry, and still take care of them with proper pay, at least matching what they made before. So, I mentioned that because that's the conversation that really gets missed when talking about climate change and the need to move off of it. Is we forget about the workers, and you can absolutely win those people over. Those are people you can win over if they understand that you are there to take care of them. And there is a common theme of taking care of the working class across industries. And I see this a lot as a Canadian. There are a lot of people in Alberta that work in oil, and a lot of those are conservative voters. And it's because they see this transition coming away from fossil fuels, and they think that their lives are on the line, their livelihoods are going to be gone. But if you have the actual, if you offer them a future, then that nulls the conservative argument, and you can win those people over while at the same time doing what you should be doing, which is taking care of those people who are affected. It's not it's not the fault of blue collar workers that they're in this transition. All right. Zodi says HRC Family Entertainment Production Act 2005. Oh, okay, that's what you're referencing. All right. I will look that up. Of course, I would not be surprised that Hillary was involved in being anti-gaming, but All right. One more chat I see just come in. Let me quickly wind down here. The Sing on the left says, David, did you see Cali law ban on gas cars by 2035? I did not see that. I did not see that. That's another industry, man. Like I'm getting more and more into cars recently as kind of an escape from politics. I need like a brain reset, and that's going to bother people. Like it has to be done. We have to get away from gas powered vehicles. But there is a long history of people being super into performance cars and that discussion. But electric cars are pretty quick. So, if the discussion is simply about speed, it's not too hard to win those people over. But anyways, that's a whole other culture. But it's the way we have to go. All right. See some random chats here. Celeste, thank you for bringing this up. Will you stream the debate? Yes, actually. Streaming it on Twitch tomorrow because YouTube can be weird with the copyright stuff. So streaming it on Twitch tomorrow with the serfs. So it's a co-streaming thing. They'll be streaming on their channel. I'll stream on my channel, and I'll be patched into their stream. They'll be patched into mine, and we will talk it out. So, also Nicholas, thank you. Yes, Nicholas sends a super chat in. Make sure I get the full one here. First, let me get Justin. Justin Krockenberg. Justin Trudeau looks like you. I've been hearing that a lot because of this hair. Hopefully he cuts his hair soon and stops copying me. Nicholas Wilson says, thanks for covering Dimitri Lascaris' run in the Green Party's leadership race in Canada. As a Canadian, I appreciate the coverage. Yes, if you are a Green Party member, you can vote now. You were sent an email. Go to your email. They sent you an email. Check your spam folder if you can't find it. They sent you an email to vote in the leadership race. Dimitri Lascaris, #1. It's a ranked ballot. Put him #1. And there are a couple others that are good as well, that are good for #2 and 3. But Dimitri has the best shot at winning out of any of the more working class friendly people in the race. So Dimitri Lascaris, #1 on that ranked ballot, and we're going to see, I think, on this weekend, I believe. When is October 3rd or 4th? I think October 3rd is when we get the final results. So you have this week to vote. Make sure you vote as soon as possible. And this weekend, we will see who won the leadership race. I'm quite excited for that. If Dimitri's in, it's going to completely transform the debate around politics in Canada. All right. Thank you all for, let me do one last refresh since I don't want to miss anybody. I see a new member here as well. Thank you, Sarah Lou Wolf. I can't see the other members. If there are other new members, I'm sorry I missed you. When I'm streaming on here, it doesn't let me view all the new memberships. But thank you, Sarah. And one last refresh to make sure I didn't miss anybody. All right, cool. Thank you all for showing up. There is, even though I'm not home, not in my usual studio, I do have another video going up later today. Watch for that. And thank you all. Thank you all for showing up. New member, Goku, just saying. Thank you, Goku. Scroll up here, so I'll make sure if there are any others I missed. But thank you so much. All right. Thanks all. See you later. Goodbye.